Each year for the past 11 years, the best young musicians from across Canada have come together in one part of Canada or another, alternating from east to west, to learn from each other, to listen to each other, to be educated, to work together, to play together, and to be judged and to compete. This year, the 12th annual finals of the Canadian Stage Band Festival have enjoyed the fine hospitality and facilities of the Constellation Hotel in Toronto. And we welcome you now to the 12th annual finals of the Canadian Stage Band Festival. Now it's time for us to listen to the winners of the intermediate 3A category. Ladies and gentlemen, this from Swift Current Comprehensive High School, from Swift Current under the direction of Scott Rolo, the Swift Current Comprehensive High School
What you'll see on this program are the winners of all the classes of competition here at the festival this year. They'll represent an age group anywhere from about 12 years old up to 20 years old, and they will represent every style of music from Dixieland to funk and fusion to jazz vocal to nostalgia to Buddy Rich type big bands. We will be featuring the Grant McEwen College Band as representative of what's going on in the college-university systems these days, and the program should be the best program that we've ever put together, based on the standard of performance that's gone down at this year's festival.
Every year at the Canadian Stage Band Festival, we have a number of guest bands who come to play, and this is one of this year's guest bands from Edmonton, ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Rick Garnes. This is the band of Grant McEwen Community College.
for kids, because I know in Hamilton, the stage band competition, there's not very many stage bands, and it gives us an opportunity to see all the rest of what's going on in Canada. It gives us something to work for, to get better, something to compare ourselves to.
A chance to see all the fine players from Canada, and especially it's a great learning experience. There's lots of good teachers.
Oh, I think it's great. They come down here and they go to the clinics. Education-wise, it's tremendous.
A whole bunch of people get together and they jam and they go to clinics and they watch other bands play and they just get great experience. It's basically what it is.
We had the best festival in our 12-year history. We had 115 bands competing, 6 visiting bands, over 3,000 participants. What else can I say?
We'd like to remind you that you're listening to music from the 12th annual finals of the Canadian Stage Band Festival, which this year, 1984, are being held in Toronto. And it's now time for us to listen to the winners of the 4B category. Now, that doesn't mean a lot to those of you who don't know what that means, so I'll tell you what it means. It means that these people are 14 years of age or under. And this is the winning band of that category from Edmonton, under the direction of Brian Appleby, the band of Westminster Junior High School.
Forward today is that there are two things that we should look at the music industry, and that the Canadian stage band is a very big part of it. It starts at the school level, and we're noticing that in many school areas that the music programs are being cut back. That's really unfortunate. For the people who are suffering are the students. They should have an opportunity to develop their musical talents. I happen to be employed by a company who believes in music, which is Yamaha. And we have a philosophy. And I think all people who are involved in the music industry, either at distribution, the teaching level, all types of music, should always remember that when they're dealing with their child, their children, the students, that music is a gift. It's the only gift that'll last a lifetime. And I think if we can keep that in perspective and foster the development of music, the Canadian stage band will grow.
And now, from the 1984 12th annual edition of the Canadian Stage Band Festival Finals this year in Toronto, we have the opportunity now to hear the players who have been declared the All-Star Band winners. This is from a category of high school students who are 17 years old or younger. Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Harry Pynchon, the 1984 Intermediate All-Star Band. One of the most important segments of the Canadian Stage Band Festival is the discipline of vocal jazz. It's a relatively recent addition to the discipline, and one that we're delighted to have. Here are the winners of the 1984 championship for senior high school vocal jazz ensembles. From Langley, British Columbia, the senior secondary school from Langley, and it's called Mountain Senior Secondary. Here they are under the direction of Mike Angel.
Cherries, don't make it serious. Life's too mysterious. You work, you save, you worry so, but you can't take your dough when you go, go, go. So keep repeating it's a berries. The strongest oak must fall. The sweet things in life to you were just low. So how can you lose what you've never owned? Life is just a bowl of cherries. So live and laugh at it all.
Life is just a bowl of cherries. Don't make it serious. Life's too mysterious. You walk, you save, you worry so, but you can't take your dough when you go, 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 go. So keep repeating it's a berries. Life still can be a ball.
Those sweet things were just low. So how can you lose what till you never own? Life is just a bowl of cherries, 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 many, many cherries. So live and laugh.
You know, like
Life is just a great big bowl of cherries. 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 Cherries.
Well, we have been hearing a lot of music at this 12th edition of the Canadian Stage Band Festival Finals, coming to you this year of 1984 from Toronto. And an enormous amount of that music has been coming from one school, which must have a remarkable group of parents, a remarkable staff, a remarkable facility. It certainly has a remarkable director of music. His name is Brian Stovall. And here is the winner of the Senior High School Band Jazz Combo category, again from Nanaimo on Canada's west coast, the Nanaimo District Secondary School, the Windjammers.
I know that there's a group that came in from Nova Scotia. It was just a 5-piece combo, and they paid everything themselves. They got no support from anyone. And in fact, I had to pick them up in the equipment truck down at the railroad station out by the bay. Other groups have come first class. They have very, very good parents committees, especially the British Columbia bands seem to have parents committees that are tremendously helpful.
The way we raised money to come to the festival was we had bottle drives and a garage sale and dances and just community stuff.
We raised the money by like chopping wood for people and mowing lawns, and we did several fundraiser concerts and really worked at it.
We got money from our school board, our school, and the rest of us just paid a little bit, each of us, to get here.
We have sponsors that are committed. The problem is that the expenses keep going up, and we don't feel that we can tap any more from the sponsors, especially Moffat and Yamaha. They've put everything that they can into the festival at this point, And therefore, I feel that it's up to us to go and find some more people that feel the same way that they do.
From Hamilton competed yesterday, and they were saying the competition was really stiff, and they were really impressed with all the other bands that came.
It's not as competitive as it is a sharing of ideas so that everybody can benefit from it.
Competitive instinct in stage bands is something that you really can't acquire unless you come to a festival like this, the one they have here. I think they should have more of them.
Back in 1973, I remember the very first stage band that I sat and watched at that time with the beginning crew that I had myself that we had first put together. And I was amazed at how good the bands were. And then as the years went by, the level just seemed to go straight up. It was just like an inclined plane. And 3 or 4 years later, they were twice as good. And 3 years later, they were twice as good as that. And back about 4 or 5 years, it seemed to level off a little bit, but all of a sudden, it's going up again. I don't know where the end of it is. It seems to get better every year.
It's time for us to listen to a little jazz of antiquity, an example of the kind of music from which today's jazz has grown. And the winners in the Senior 2A Dixieland combo category this year come from a place that would make us think that jazz came up the West Coast from Louisiana. Because these people hail from Nanaimo, British Columbia, under the direction of David Gillette. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dixieland Band of Nanaimo District Secondary Street. the opportunity of hearing the band which placed first in the Senior 2B Dixieland category. But before we hear them play, and in fact before we introduce them, the guys have asked me to express their appreciation to a member who sat in. Their regular drummer couldn't make it to Toronto this year, so their friend David Bellotta from Montreal has sat in 2 days later. And here, from Montreal, Quebec, ladies and gentlemen, the Gethurst Dixieland Band under the direction of Stéphane Boucher. Every year in our country, in either the East or the West, about 1,500 or so of the best and most promising young musicians from all across our country come together and play for each other in competition and in friendliness and in an educational and friendly competitive atmosphere. It's called the Canadian Stage Band Festival. We are all very proud to be a part of it. And among the things that are chosen, in addition to the very best bands in the country for that given year, are the very best musicians from among those bands. They come together in a band called the All-Star Band, which is comprised of the best young musicians that our country has to offer. This is the 1984 edition of the All-Star Canadian Stage Band Festival Band.
And there are probably many, many of you who will go on, as many have in the last 12 years in this festival, to be people who will join the music industry as a performer or in some other aspect and truly reach stardom as many young people have from the festival. So this year, I would like to, for the first time, and again, I'm honored to have it, the Rising Star Award in my namesake. It will go to Gina Bozar from the Nanaimo District Secondary School from British Columbia. Gina?
This year we've gone into an extensive clinic program. We've added over 50 hours of clinics along with all the competitions that are going on. And in fact, the kids have to be very careful with their time. They have no spare time because if they're to catch all the clinics and all the competitions and all the concerts, they're going to be going from 8:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
Well, I went to a clinic, 2 of them last night. I went to one at 4:30 and another one later on at 6:30. The first one was the saxophone clinic, and that was just incredible. His name was the clinician was Dominic Serpico, and he was incredible. He was just playing things I've never even heard before. Then I went to the trumpet player's clinic. His name is Lou Soloff, and he just gave me some feelings on, things like mouthpiece, really, picky little things that I never would have realized on my own unless I had a guiding hand like him to help me out and saying, well, this is what you need to do.
Oh, yeah. Kids are, when they come here, they're busy all day long. They have to go to clinics all day long. They've been at clinics since Thursday afternoon.
The suggestion of implementing clinics right across the country for sessions in schools, in school districts, that to happen, say, before Christmas, so that people then will bear the fruits of that as they go on.
The winner of the Senior 2B Jazz Combo. They're under the direction of Jim Mayer, who also plays the tenor saxophone in the band. Please welcome Mark Five.
About half an hour ago, and everyone's just relaxing because all the tension's over. You know, like we've been working for this for months and 20 minutes on stage and it's all over. So we're just going to relax. Pool, sauna, you name it. What are you doing?
The New Orleans French Quarter, the place for Mardi Gras and Cajun cooking, for streetcars named Desire and metal filigree, for funeral bands and old-time jazz. In this wild, exuberant, nostalgic setting, it's easy to ignore a small, run-down building that desperately needs a little fixing up and a new coat of paint. Yet, behind this unassuming facade, one finds a small group of musicians dedicated to the preservation of traditional New Orleans jazz. Not Dixieland, not straw hat music, but the original jazz rhythms first heard in New Orleans. But you don't have to visit this hall to hear their unforgettable sound. These musicians have traveled the world over, bringing audiences to their feet wherever they go. And tonight, they are returning for their 15th annual appearance at America's only national park for the performing arts. It's Preservation Hall Jazz Band, on stage at Wolf Trap.
Funding for On Stage at Wolf Trap is made possible by a grant from Martin Marietta Corporation, supplying the creative intelligence to bring together diverse technologies in aerospace, information management, electronics, and materials. Additional funding is provided by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Hello, I'm Beverly Sills, welcoming you to a memorable evening of entertainment. Preservation Hall Jazz Band, on stage at Wolf Trap, a national treasure, performing at our national park for the performing arts. Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Their motto is the oldest of the living old, an apt one since the band was formed to showcase the last of the old-time musicians playing traditional New Orleans jazz. Their music was born at the turn of the century and could be heard throughout the Louisiana Delta. But following World War I, jazz moved to the north, out of New Orleans, and in the course of the move, it began to change. But in the black communities of New Orleans, traditional jazz lived on in the hearts and souls of a remaining handful of musicians. And now, 3/4 of a century later, these same musicians formed the backbone of Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Musicians like banjoist Narvin Henry Kimball. Preservation Hall Jazz Band has been a Wolf Trap favorite for years, and a personal favorite of Wolf Trap's founder, Catherine Feline Showes. Each band member deserves a special recognition as they take their places on the Feline center stage. Frank Parker on drums. James Edward Sing Miller at the piano. Percy Humphrey, the leader of the band. Percy's brother, Willie Humphrey, playing clarinet. Trombonist Frank Dumont. Ladies and gentlemen, Preservation Hall Jazz Band, on stage at Wolf Trap. there is one final member of the band, bass horn player Alan Jaffe, who along with his wife Sandy has kept Preservation Hall Jazz Band alive and internationally recognized.
New Orleans jazz is a very special music. It's a music of the people of New Orleans. It was created here to serve their needs, their very special needs. A song that can be played at church in the morning for people to pray to. It can be used at a funeral for people to be sad, or it can be used coming home from a funeral for them to rejoice to. At nighttime, they can dance to it, they can party to it, and sit around and enjoy it. And as long as this music is serving a purpose, as long as it's functional, as long as the honesty and integrity of it remains, it'll remain a vital music. It'll remain as contemporary and as an important part of American music as it always has been.
Yes, I sing because I'm happy. Yes, I sing because I'm free. Yes, as I go despair in unknown. He watches me in the morning. I'll sing because I'm happy. Yes, I say because I'm free. Yes, and I is home to spend. And I know he watches me. I'll sing because I'm happy. Yes, I'll sing because I'm free. Yes, and just watching me.
Preservation Hall Jazz Band is a great favorite at Wolf Trap. They've performed here every year since the park opened in 1971, the only out-of-town group to hold that distinction. And a lot has happened at Wolf Trap since their first appearance. Like every theater, Wolf Trap's Feline Center is filled with memories. I remember the day it opened. That was a happy day for everyone. But it was especially happy for Wolf Trap's founder and benefactor, Catherine Feline Schaus.
What I wanted to happen here is happening, and even greater than my expectations. I realized that this area outside of Washington, the metropolitan area, was growing very quickly. There was nothing on our side of the Potomac where people could enjoy the performing arts.
But those happy memories are coupled with sad ones, especially the night of April 4th, 1982. With high winds fanning the flames, it didn't take long for the entire Feline Center to be consumed by fire. The building was a total loss. The next morning, as firemen continued to pour water on the smoldering ruins, calls began pouring in with messages of condolence and offers of assistance. Calls from the thousands of citizens all across America who were saddened by the loss of the crown jewel in this, their national park for the performing arts.
There's a tremendous reaction, of course, around Washington. But what amazed us was the reaction in every state of the Union. We had contributions from the 50 states and from 7 foreign countries, which was astounding because I didn't realize that Wolf Trap was in the hearts of so many people in so many areas. And it was most gratifying, and it convinced us even more strongly that we needed to rebuild Wolf Trap, which has been done, and we have an even better building in the new building than we had in the old.
6 million visitors have come to Wolf Trap, enjoying performances by many thousands of artists. The stage is a magical place that can take the audience anywhere. Perhaps to New Orleans to hear the sounds of Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
get that funny feeling from my head down to my shoes. You ain't been blue, cold, long blue. Always get that mood indigo since my baby said goodbye. In the evening when lights are low, I'm so lonesome I could cry. But there's nobody who cares about me, and I'm as lonely can be. When I get that mood indigo, I could lay me down and die. You ain't been blue, no, no, no. You ain't been blue till you've had mood indigo. I got that funny feeling from my head down to my shoes. You ain't been down to me. Yes, bake that pasta good and brown, and there's taters all around. All lined up. Ooh, Miss Liza Jane. Ooh, Miss Liza Jane. I took my gal to the country store. Calling you Liza Jane. Why don't you come back to me, Liza? Oh, Miss Liza Jane. What did the hand duck say to the drake? I said, what did the hand duck say to the drake? There ain't no crawfish in his lake. There ain't no crawfish in his lake. Oh, the hen duck said, let's take a dive. Yes, the hen duck said, let's take a dive. Those crawfish on the other side. Those crawfish on the other side.
Every Preservation Hall concert is different from the last. The musicians determine what to play based on their unerring instincts for sizing up an audience. But there's one number that every audience demands, one that provides a rousing concert finale, when the Saints go marching in.
When the Saints marching in, the Saints go marching in. Yes, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching in. When the Saints go marching in, when the Saints go marching in. Yes, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching in, bring it in. When the Saints go marching in, when the Saints go marching in, yes, I want to be in that number when the Saints go marching in. Narvin Kimball. When the saints go marching in, yes, I wanna be in that number. When the saints go marching in, when the saints marching in, when the saints go marching in, yes, I wanna be in that number. When the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, yes, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in.
ran for more than a year on Broadway, and she brings her stunning one-woman show to great performances. Fall for 9 as Lena presents all the charm, taste, and intelligence that have made her a legend. Monday night at 8 on KCTS 9, Seattle.
Funding for On Stage at Wolf Trap was made possible by a grant from Martin Marietta Corporation.